Self-sabotage. Jason, you left a comment and I want to just respond with a video because the reality is you're right. Am I too much in my head? 1,000%. Somewhere between when the pandemic hit to now and the plan was put in place and us thinking and pivoting and all the things, confidence started to erode away. And that has been difficult. Now, mixed in there was a snowboard accident and gaining a bunch of weight and feeling like I'm not who I am anymore. And then that conference not going the way that I had planned for it to go. And then we pivoted and it didn't plan and all this stuff going on in the background. Absolutely, I'm in my head. And part of doing this is to get out of it. Part of, there's just been a lot of work to figure out like why am I so there? Do I care too much? Do I not? I'm not saying that any of it's bad, but I do want to acknowledge the fact that I am in my head. And I think often we are not talking about the fact that we get in our own way or self-sabotage or whatever those things are that sort of lead us away. And you know, I work in my house. I have since before I met you, before 2016. And that's not like there's a lot of people around necessarily to kind of shake you out of it. And it's difficult and it sucks and I hate it. And I try to find those places of do the other thing and walk away and get out of my head or go do the other thing. And then the pressures of money and, you know, loans and this of whatever have happened in the past. And, you know, does my work define me? I don't know. I wish, I mean, you're right. It shouldn't, but it is such a piece of like my feel good, my validation, my whatnot. But like you like to work on bikes. I like to work on cars. I don't really see that. I haven't really done that lately, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I shouldn't do it. And anybody who's watching should feel like, you know, your work isn't necessarily a representation of you either. But you know, I also do find enjoyment of it. And whatever we are building going forward, I want to enjoy it and build it such that it works better for us and and have fun with it. And community is a big piece. Now, I 100% agree that the pandemic has changed the face of what a technical community looks like and how companies interact, and it was a big reason of why we said we can't do that conference, because it's not the same landscape. And there is a series of people who jobs are jobs and whatever. I fully agree, but I do think community is still a major part. I do think we'll see it in different ways. In different kind of forms and whatnot. But the road ahead, as you pointed out, you know, a practice, time to build out all of that stuff, you know, what does a product look like? I mean, those are all things kind of rolling around in my head as to how do I have that sort of impact on the world. I wouldn't say that I'm limited to tech coaching. I would say, if anything, maybe limited myself to men. Now I happen to know people in tech the most, which is the most comfortable, and that's sort of where we're getting started. But I also don't know kind of what this all feels like. I have ideas and, you know, drawings and I think as I walk away, if you will, walk away from the self-sabotage, as I try to find myself, those things become a little clearer. And I am certainly apprehensive of like, what if I screw up? How am I going to feed the family? How am I going to do this? What if What if I was just wrong? Can I handle it again? And all of that's just bullshit. You know, like you just have to go do it. Otherwise you're failing already. So there are things that I romanticize about my past of where, I felt unstoppable. I just did shit and I didn't necessarily think about it. But I also felt like I knew exactly that was the right place to go. And today there are times where I get in my head a little bit and question myself and maybe knock myself off a little bit. And look, I'm older. I don't want to work 100+ hours a week. I don't. I've worked 2 jobs since I've been 15. I really don't want to do that anymore either, even though I'm sort of doing it right now. So there is this place where I seem to get in my head. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I just wanted to record sort of the response because I think it's important that we, acknowledge the human side of these things where, that is exactly what I'm doing. And I'm trying to get out of it, really. But, but here we are. Hey, I did it. Monday. Not a great video. Maybe it is. I don't know. But thank you, Jason, for the comment. I appreciate all of them, all of you who have said something. Because that makes this fun. Like, it makes this a little bit more engaging. But I'm curious, or I don't need to be curious, but if you feel like you're in your own head, how have you gotten out of it? Or how have you identified it? How have you identified burnout? I am somebody who's in that place right now, very burned out, very trying to unburn out, whatever the hell that means. Because it's the last 5 years have been a grind, and I look at that as like proper health, proper balance, like getting away from work, finding inspiration in the things you do every day, doing the things you want to do every day, taking time for yourself. All those things are hard. I take time for myself, and then I feel like I should have been working and doing something else. So I'm curious, have you been through burnout? How have you gotten through it? Self-sabotage, do you see yourself doing it? What practices do you have to get out of it? Do you feel like you identify your worth through work? Good or bad? How do you kind of separate from it? That kind of stuff, right? So we did a thing again.